So in an industry that's pretty much all about sequels and safe bets, Capcom just went and dropped a completely new, high-concept sci-fi game called Pragmata. And honestly, it's shocked a lot of people. It's not just good, it's being called an instant classic and a serious contender for Game of the Year. So how on earth did this super risky project become such a massive hit?
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the reception. And wow, it was just explosive right out of the gate. I mean, this is the kind of launch that most brand new games can only dream of.
Yeah, you really can't ask for a stronger opening than that. Critics like Game Watcher immediately set the bar incredibly high, calling it not just a GOT contender, but one of Capcom's best games of the entire decade. That is some seriously high praise.
And check out this number, 87. That's its mighty score over on OpenCritic. And get this, that's averaged from over 95 different reviews. For a totally new franchise from a huge publisher to debut this high, well, that's just a massive achievement.
And the consensus? It's pretty much overwhelming. A wild 95% of critics are recommending you play this game. That puts Pragmata in the 96th percentile of all releases on the site. So yeah, we're not just talking about a critical darling here. This is statistically in the absolute top tier of games.
So you might be wondering, what is this game that has everyone buzzing? Well, let me tell you, it's way more than just your standard shooter. At its center is this really unique blend of mechanics and a surprisingly emotional story.
At its core, yeah, Pragmata is a third-person shooter, but it's all built around this genius idea that critics have started calling hack and shoot. You're not just running around and blasting things. Every single fight is more like a tactical puzzle, like a dance between the two characters.
And this combat loop, this is what makes the game so special. See, while the android Diana is doing a real-time hack on an enemy, you, as Hugh, have to dodge attacks and get yourself into the perfect position. Then, once the hack is done, the enemy is wide open, and you just unleash everything you've got. IGN even called it the true highlight of Pragmata because of how it perfectly blends action with these creative puzzle mechanics.
But it's not all about the gameplay. The unanimous verdict from pretty much everyone is that the emotional core, the heart of the game, is the bond between Hugh and Diana. That relationship is what elevates the whole experience and gives it a soul that, let's be honest, a lot of sci-fi shooters are missing. But here's the thing. This level of success was never a sure thing, not by a long shot. To really understand why, you gotta look at Pragmata's long, kinda quiet, and definitely challenging journey to get here.
If you feel like you've been hearing about this game for ages, you're not wrong. It was first shown off way back in 2020. The original plan was for it to release in 2022. It ended up being delayed by a full 4 years.
So why the long wait? Well, the game's director explained it was all about perfecting that unique hack-and-shoot mechanic. Finding just the right balance between Diana's hacking and Hugh's shooting was incredibly difficult and, as he put it, took an immense amount of trial and error. And this is a fascinating little peek behind the curtain. Capcom knew this was going to be a long and expensive process. Their financial reports from 2025 showed they'd already recorded something called impairment cost for the game. Now, in simple terms, that just means they were financially ready for a long development. It's a huge signal of their commitment to getting the game right, instead of just rushing it out the door.
So, after all that time, when the game finally landed in our hands, what was the overall consensus? Let's break down what critics absolutely loved and what they felt could have been a little better.
So, the praise was overwhelming for the innovative combat and that heartfelt story. But critics were also honest about where it fell short. Some found the sci-fi plot a bit predictable, hitting familiar beats. Others noted that the core gameplay, while really fun, could feel a bit repetitive by the end. And another common point was that the standard difficulty was probably a little too easy for experienced players.
But a theme that kept popping up, and something many saw as a huge positive, was the game's focus. In a world of 100-hour open worlds and live service games, Pragmata is just a tight, polished 10 to 15-hour adventure with no filler. And for a lot of people, that was a total breath of fresh air.
All right, let's zoom out for our final point here. What does Pragmata's success really mean? Not just for Capcom, but maybe for the entire industry?
Well, first off, this wasn't a fluke. Pragmata is just another major victory in what many are calling Capcom's current golden age. They have been on a legendary hot streak for years now, just consistently delivering high-quality games.
And this is really the crucial point. Capcom did not have to make this game. With game development costs just skyrocketing and all the pressure from shareholders, the safe play is always to make another sequel. But instead, they took a massive financial and creative risk on a completely new idea. And boy, did it pay off in a big way.
And that leaves us all with a really important question, doesn't it? At a time when the biggest publishers are more afraid of risk than ever, Pragmata's success really makes you wonder. Is the boldest move in gaming today not to make another sequel, but to create something entirely new?